Hey everybody, so today let's go over my brothers, just so we can give you a little bit of an idea that I'm not a lone wolf in my family. I have one older brother, born from the same parents, Kent. He's 4 years older than I am. He was probably the sweetest, greatest brother you could ever have. I mean, he included me, looked after me, taught me on everything up until the time he went to college. I mean, he was always there for me. I cannot say enough for the life he gave me and shared with me during all those years. I mean, he took me and my friends in his van, to the beach to go surfing all the time, shared music with me, shared his thoughts about life with me, all sorts of experiences. There's just nothing I can say about him. He's tall, good looking, very laid back, so the ladies have always liked him, much more than they certainly ever cared for me. As I said, he lives in Texas. Currently, he's married to his third wife. Don't hold that against him necessarily. He had two children with his first wife, Graham and Timothy, or Weston, however you want to call him. I call him Weston, but I think most people call him Tim. Whatever. I don't know. I've just always known him as Weston. What can I say? And Graham. And then he had a child with his second wife. His name is Eamon. Eamon is just now getting married, I believe, or really kind of is. Whatever. It's kind of an odd thing, but they're doing fine. And I don't really know Eamon. I think I've spoken to him maybe 3 times in my entire life. I don't know much about Graham. My exposure with Graham hasn't been much over the last years. I know Weston probably the best. Weston has communicated with me at various points in his life, and we are communicating now, and that's kind of nice. Graham, is in the corporate world, doing fine. He's got a wife, a couple of kids of his own. They're doing great. Weston and Eamon both work in the same industry I'm in, or was in. They're doing TV commercials, TV show sort of stuff. So they're doing great. Eamon is apparently, a big little investor with the real estate and this and that, doing fine. So, it's odd that they both would end up in the same kind of industry doing the same sort of stuff that I do. But, how are you going to get around that? I have, well, I shouldn't say, excuse me, I had a foster brother. He was 6 years older than me, named Don. Don was from you want to say a broken home, bad home, whatever you want to call it. My mother at the time, back then, was working as a social worker with the state, and he had gotten into trouble. And the principal of the school, who knew my mother, he called my mother and said, "Look, I got this kid. He's in trouble for the third time. Like 3 strikes you're out. And if somebody doesn't do something to help this kid, he's going to end up in jail, juvenile detention. And I don't want that to happen. We need to save this kid." So my mother jumped in. She called up the judge, which you could do back then because she knew who he was, woke his ass out of bed, said, "You're going to give me, custody of this kid, as a foster parent, and I need it, and I need it now." And by God, she got it. She didn't ask my father, didn't get any permission, she just did it. And so Don came to live with us. And I think he was probably, I'm guessing, maybe 14 at the time, or 13, something like that. So, I was much younger. So Don lived with us through the rest of his life. He would straighten up. He never got in trouble again. He became a football player, won all the little awards for, defenseman of the week, all this sort of stuff. Even got a little scholarship to a college. But when he got to the college, he figured out that it was more than he could take. The education part and the football was a lot more demanding than he was willing to give. So he went up and joined the Navy, which really pissed off my mother. But, what are you going to do? That's my mom. My mom's like, hey, you had a scholarship. You need to stick it out. You should have called me. We could have worked it out. You need a college degree. At any rate, he went into the Navy. So he would spend, if I remember right, 6 years in the Navy. Then when he got out of the Navy, he basically got into the insurance business as like an adjuster, salesman, that sort of thing. And he would bounce from agency to agency for the rest of his life. But he always kept himself engaged and employed. Married a lovely woman, Patty. They had 2 children, and those children have had grandchildren. So everybody has been moving along. And Don passed away a little over a year ago. Sad to see him go. Because it was with all the COVID stuff, I was unable to see him. I kept trying, but every time he would go south, then I wouldn't be able to see him. So I unfortunately never really got to see him before he died. But I will remember him fondly because, in some cases I wanted to wring his neck because he would do things that just were... But then on the other hand, he could turn around and just be the sweetest, nicest guy you ever wanted to know. So, I miss Don, and I hope he's in a much better place. My father got remarried, and they had a child, Mark. So I have a half-brother, Mark, who's substantially younger than me. I didn't really get to know Mark when he was growing up because his mother really didn't want me to be involved in any way because I might be a bad influence and so forth. So I've only really gotten to know Mark in the adult years. We've had some issues, but we've worked through them, and I respect the guy. He's doing what he's doing. He's working. He's, stood up and done the right thing, in my opinion, when it really came down to doing it. So, I give him all the best. He was married. They got divorced. Unfortunately, sorry for the coughing. And so now he has a girlfriend that he's been hanging with who's in Chicago. She has a couple of children already. So he shares his time between Central Florida and Chicago and traveling wherever he needs to do for work. So we speak, maybe once every couple of months and keep in touch. His girlfriend's a big soccer fan, as I am. She's a Liverpool junkie. So, we have that in common, and Mark's trying to learn soccer, so, good luck to him there. He's going to have a long road to go with a Liverpool fan on his, well, yeah, those of you who know the game, you understand. So, those are my 3 brothers. I talk to them on a fairly regular basis now. My brother Kent talks to me regularly. He comes to see me maybe once every 3 or 4 months, and I'm hoping that things will work out on his side. They just bought a house, and at this point in your life to just buy a house, that's a hell of a transition. So I hope that works out for him. But and he's a still photographer, but he's finding, of course, that the world is changing, and the kind of photography he was doing isn't that popular anymore. And you got a lot of young kids with all these cameras competing. So his income is starting to whittle away. And he's looking for ways to augment it. And I hope he does. It's a tough road to go, I know, or a tough road to hoe, whatever you want to call it. And I wish him the best in that. But at least his wife, Ann, is gainfully employed, has a nice job. So hopefully they'll be okay, and they'll be able to sort things out as they go along. So that's it for my brothers for the most part. Not a whole lot else I can add. So we'll try to move on and get some other videos out of the way. And thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace. And as always, hang 10.